What is a supernatural event that happened in your life that just cannot be explained? When my grandfather died, my parents were in charge of cleaning out his old house. I ended up helping out a couple of times, and the night before we were finished I had a dream about my grandfather. There is his basement pointing at a spot behind the staircase. It was so vivid and real that I had to tell everyone about it. The next and final day of cleaning we went to the spot I was talking about. My dad ended up pulling back some old wood paneling and found a bunch of old photographs of when my grandparents first moved into the house. I still get goosebumps when I think about it, and have them now while typing. I've had a couple of instances of very unusually vivid dreams of a loved one that I lost. I can't explain why the dream was so vivid, affected me so much and seemed to send such an important message. Maybe it was just coincidence, or maybe it means something. I don't know. But this is a really cool story. About 2 years after my mother passed away, I had this extremely vivid dream that we just sat down and had a good talk about her dying and how I was doing. I woke up crying my eyes out, but goddamn did it feel like a weight had left my shoulders. Woke up one in the middle of the night to a man standing next to the bed staring at my so. He was slightly translucent and I figured it was just another sleep paralysis episode, had them before so knew the drill, and rolled over and went to go back to sleep. Normally being able to move isn't part of sleep paralysis, and immediately my heart began to race as I realized I need to roll over and check what I saw. Person was still standing there, staring at my so. Then he made eye contact with me. Stared at me for a while before turning around and walking to the wall, slowly fading away with each step. Next morning So wakes up looking like shit and said she had the worst night's sleep because she kept having the feeling that someone was watching her. Glad we no longer live in that house. What did the person look like other than being translucent? Did it look otherwise human? Perfectly normal adult male. Nothing strange at all. It was so vivid I could give a detailed enough description that a forensics artist could draw. Sleeping in the guest room of my in-laws' house, I awoke to death standing next to my bed. I couldn't breathe and felt the most amazing peaceful feeling. I said, I am ready to go. Death said, I have you, but not yet. Then death was gone and I was awake and breathing. It was 1 a.m. The next morning we got up to find that my mother-in-law had died in the middle of the night. For the record, I am an atheist and a skeptic. I have no explanation for this. I have episodes of anxiety. They used to really restrict how much I moved through the house at night. Usually I'd stay on the floor my bedroom was on. One night I had a very bad episode, to the point that I wouldn't leave my room to go to the bathroom, and I'm pretty sure I moved my desk in front of my door. It felt like death itself was in my house, downstairs. I eventually fell asleep, and when I went downstairs the next day I found my lizard head drowned in her water bowl. I'm on anxiety medication now. When I was 12 I woke up with a start at 2:30 in the morning. I wasn't dreaming and didn't know why I woke up. My parents told me the next morning that my grandfather had had a heart attack and went for emergency surgery. He died at 2:30 in the morning. Holy fuck, that's creepy. I have many, but here's the first that popped in my head. I was driving home from work after picking up my baby late at night. Not many cars around out on the country roads. The one stoplight out there was red for me, so I stop. It turns green and have a sudden voice or thought or whatever in my head saying don't go yet. Nothing is coming ... I'm still sitting at the green light. Right as I let off the brake, a semi comes flying through his red light. I was shook. It's likely you were aware of the semi coming at some level, the sound it makes, maybe a shadow or if you could see it in the corner of your eye, etc. And that thought was basically your intuition stopping you. It's a similar idea to when people feel someone watching them. We've all had that moment where we get that feeling and then look up and sure enough someone is looking right at us. It isn't a sixth sense, You actually noticed at some point through conventional means at a subconscious level and then eventually became consciously aware. They've tested this by having people sit in front of one-way mirrors and then asked them if they feel they are being watched. When a potential observer is completely screened from view and hearing, people who are being watched do no better than random chance at guessing whether they were being watched or not. This is it. Our brains process a lot more information than what gets presented to our consciousness. Jesus took the wheel and then fell asleep on his delivery route. Wake up, Jesus, you're driving a dang semi. Very minor, but I still go what the fuck. When I remember. When I was a kid, around 6, I lived in a very arid area, and a wide field of red dirt was between my house and my buds. Every day, walking over there, when I got about halfway across, I'd pick up a dirt clod or a small rock, and toss it behind me over my shoulder. About 10 seconds later, it would come flying back over my head and land in front of me. I'd just grin and keep walking. I remember this really distinctly, even trying to replicate it later in childhood after I'd moved away, and being sad that it didn't work anymore. Didn't question it as a kid, but looking back, just really weird. Also, my job site is haunted, but this seems stranger. Once, as days were growing colder, throwing dirt behind his shoulder, up and came a boy who found me, didn't mind to be around me. Once upon a time I waited, smiled to hear his walk, elated, learned to catch the things he gave me, slept alone and dreamt he'd save me. Once I knew a boy in fleeting moments spent in unrepeating moments where he'd almost know me. Always knew he'd soon outgrow me. Nice. And a more serious one this time. Don't get me wrong, I love your funny poems, but it's nice to see a change. Keep doing what you do. I'm guessing that you're remembering something that never actually happened. Our memories are weird, especially ones from when we were really little. No matter how vivid our memories of something that long ago are, chances are we are misremembering some / most / all of it. Edit, this is why eyewitness testimony is so bad. People don't accurately remember shit, but they think they do. Couple that with people believing what they want to believe and you end up with loads of ghost stories and other supernatural events. I definitely know this feeling. The memories of certain games I played as a child are very vivid. Then you go back and they feel completely different, or there are things you remember differently, had a better memory of. Well, when I was around 6 years old, I was walking down the stairs, no one was behind me, and all of a sudden I remember getting chills, then feeling a faint hand on my shoulder before I got basically pushed down the stairs. I was alright, a few cuts and bruises, nothing serious, but I still remember the feeling of the invisible hand on my shoulder. It haunts me. Could be your guardian angel either telling you to watch out or pranking you. Guardian angel, hey, watch your step, shove, ha ha ha, see you next fall. I had a sort of demonic mask on my shelf, and one day while I was working at my desk no more than 4 feet away from it, it just flew off the shelf and shattered on the floor. It didn't just fall off the shelf, it was like someone threw it across the room. The baffling part to me is that I am the one who made the mask. So I know it's not cursed by some voodoo hex or something. The ghost was anti-mask. Unless you're cursed by some voodoo hex or something. There's a story from when I was 4 or 5 years old. My grandmother was looking through old family photos and asking me who the people were. We got to a picture of my grandfather, and she asked me who he was, and I said, Poppy Jim. He died suddenly at home when my mother was 10, in the same house we lived in, so I never met him. She asked me how I knew that. I told her, oh, he comes and tucks me in and tells me he loves me sometimes after you go to bed. Had a premonition I'd be involved in a car accident one morning on the way to work as I got out of bed. It was a very strange thought, and I considered taking an alternate route but did not. As I got onto the highway, it was raining and a car flew past me, hydroplaned, and slammed into my car. You probably died in a different reality, but I'm happy you're here in this one. Glad someone shares my mindset. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this one.